We've all been taught that telling lies is wrong. However, lying is a normal part of development. In fact, everyone tells a little lie from time to time. But some lies are so extreme that they can destroy relationships, ruin lives, and even cover up crimes. These stories are proof that everything isn't always what it seems. A few years ago, social media was thrown into a frenzy when a post made by a young man went viral. He was caught in a terrible situation and needed assistance, so he took to Twitter and Facebook to ask for help. When people attempted to help him, they discovered something you'd never expect, and it proved just how troubled this young man actually was. On March 3rd, 2015, Adam Hoover was going about his day like he normally would. He was probably out running errands when his day suddenly took a turn for the worst. Some unidentified individuals approached him, grabbed him, threw him into the trunk of his car, and started driving. Adam started panicking, and he knew that he needed to find some way to call for help. So he made a post to Facebook and Twitter to let people know that he had been kidnapped. In the post that Adam made, he said the kidnappers were threatening to kill him and his family. He begged for help and even said he didn't want to die. The post spread across the internet like wildfire as people became more and more concerned for the safety of Adam and his family. Thanks to social media, the police were able to find Adam in the trunk of his car a few hours later. But they also discovered something else. That Adam had been lying this whole time. No one had kidnapped him. No one was threatening to kill him or his family. It was all fake. He orchestrated the whole thing, and he probably did it for attention. The authorities weren't able to confirm whether he had accomplices or not, but they did charge Adam with making false alarms, which is a first-degree misdemeanor. In 2017, a man named Mark Weeks worked for a video advertising company in London called Unruly. Everything was going fine until one day, he started receiving strange text messages from an unknown number saying that he was being watched and his home was being watched too. Although this frightened him, it was nothing compared to what was about to happen. Shortly after, he received messages from strange email addresses stating that someone he knew had been kidnapped and SA'd. He also received photos of the victim tied up and almost completely undressed attached to a disturbing email. He took a closer look at the photos and realized that the victim was someone he knew. If this wasn't terrifying enough, Mark started to receive messages from different Instagram accounts accusing him of SA. To make matters worse, Mark's family was now being targeted, as they also received threats and stalking messages. Between the accusations and the messages, Mark began to feel unsafe in his home. He even said he was constantly scared and on edge. Little did Mark know that there was a perfectly good explanation for everything that was happening to him and his family, and it would shock him. It turns out that the whole time, Mark was being terrorized by someone he knew very, very well. His ex-girlfriend, Jessica Nordquist. It all started when Mark broke up with Jessica and she decided that she wouldn't let him go without a fight. So she sent malicious messages to him, his family, and his co-workers from different emails. She created 20 different Instagram accounts just to harass him and make false allegations against him. She even claimed she was pregnant with Mark's child, and in order to make him believe it, she bought a fake baby bump off Amazon. Not long after, she lied and said she had lost the baby. But it doesn't end there. Remember the photos that Mark received with someone apparently being bound and held hostage? Jessica was the one in those photos, and they were also fake. Jessica kidnapped herself and sent him those pictures pretending to be the kidnapper. 2 days later, her scheme was uncovered when the police found her sleeping safe and sound in a bed and breakfast in Scotland. For all the terror, harassment, and pain she inflicted on Mark, his family, and his reputation, she only received a mere 4.5 years in prison. In 2002, the quiet English town of Hartlepool was turned upside down by an incident that no one saw coming. On March 21st, a prison officer named John Darwin was in the mood for some alone time. He took his canoe out to the North Sea for a relaxing day on the water. Not long after, people realized that John didn't show up for his shift at work, and they became concerned because this kind of behavior was unusual for him. His wife, Anne, also started to get really worried because he didn't return home. She filed a missing persons report, and a huge search operation was launched. The authorities looked everywhere for him, but they found no sign of John or his canoe. They weren't sure if he had drowned or if something happened to him when he was on his way back home. The entire thing was a mystery. Their search came up empty, and eventually, John was presumed to be dead. His wife was hopeful that he'd turn up, but weeks had gone by and there was still no sign of John. At this point, everyone was forced to accept the fact that John was gone. His 2 sons were devastated at the fact that they would never see their father again. Or at least, that's what they thought. 5 years had passed since John's strange disappearance, but something was about to happen that would make this case even weirder. On December 1st, 2007, a man walked into a police station in London. In his disoriented state, he told police officers that he was suffering from amnesia, but he thinks he may be a missing person. The police officers were definitely confused by what this man was saying, but they would soon find out that this mysterious man was John Darwin. At first, this seemed like a case of a man's miraculous survival after a horrible accident at sea. However, after a series of questions and discoveries, the disturbing truth of John's disappearance would come to light. It turns out that John never went canoeing on the day he disappeared. He actually went to the train station in an attempt to leave town. But before he did this, he made sure to push his canoe out into the sea so that it would eventually wash up on the shore to make it look like he had died at sea. He did all this because he was in serious debt and figured that the only way he could get out of it was by faking his death and claiming his life insurance money. In order to get rid of his money problems, he deceived the world and his entire family. Well, not his entire family. It turns out that John's wife, Anne, was part of this elaborate plot to fake his death from the very beginning. She was the one who dropped him off at the train station on the day of his supposed disappearance, and even knew where he was hiding the whole time. While John was hiding out in Panama under a fake name, Anne received £160,000 from insurance policies, £60,000 from the prison service for death in service, and £8,000 for widow's pension. The search operation for John also cost £100,000. But the worst part of this entire plan is that Anne lied to their sons and made them think their father had actually died. The couple was eventually caught when someone found a photo online of them in Panama taken 1 year before John showed up at the police station. The picture proved that Anne knew he was alive the whole time and was part of the plan to fake his death. They were both convicted of fraud and sentenced to more than 6 years in prison. Anne divorced John just before she was released from prison, but John has since remarried. There is even a television show being made about their life and the crimes they committed. If you know any disturbing stories like the ones in this video, make sure to let us know in the comments below. If you made it to the end of this video, that can only mean one thing. You are seriously into some weird-ish. So go ahead and press that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more weird content just like this.